There is a way of thinking so rare, so powerful, that when embraced fully, the world itself seems to shift in response. This way of thinking is not about effort. It is not about toiling or proving your worth. It is about assuming a truth so deeply, so fully, that reality itself has no choice but to conform. You see, the outer world is but a mirror, a reflection of the inner realm, and when you think from a place of conviction, not hoping, not wishing, but knowing, you ignite the divine machinery that bends the world to your will. The secret is not in doing, it is in assuming. For when you assume a thing to be true with inner certainty, all the laws of the universe align themselves with that assumption. Your senses may cry otherwise. Circumstances may protest. But the truth lies not in what you observe, it lies in what you accept as real in your imagination. And if you would only dare to persist in this inner acceptance, the seen will bow to the unseen, and what was once mere thought will harden into fact. This is not fantasy, it is not delusion, it is the very essence of creation. Everything you now experience, every dollar in your account, every relationship in your life, every success or failure was once imagined. Either consciously or unconsciously, you accepted it, you dwelled upon it, you identified with it, and in doing so, you gave it life. So, the question is not whether you are creating, the question is whether you are creating consciously. To think rightly is to dwell in the end. It is to close your eyes and feel the reality of your wish fulfilled. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. You speak from it, you walk from it, you react to the world from it. You no longer ask when will it happen, you know it has happened already. And the world, faithful and unerring, rearranges itself around this truth you have dared to declare. But you must think like this, you must think from the state not of the desire but from its fulfillment. You must wear the feeling like a garment, move with its weight, breathe with its certainty. It is not enough to visualize a goal, you must become it. You must forget the old man, the limited identity, and assume the new nature fully, without compromise. You must believe even when reason and fact contradict you, especially then. For it is in that moment of contradiction, of tension between what is seen and what is imagined, that creation occurs. The world bends not for the one who merely wishes, but for the one who dares to assume, who walks as if, talks as if, feels as if, lives as if. Do you understand? You are not begging reality to change. You are declaring what already is. And as you persist in that declaration, as you remain loyal to that inner conviction, the outer must come into alignment. It cannot help it. The law is that sure, that exact. And yet most people live in reverse. They look to the world for confirmation before they dare to believe. They wait for signs, for evidence, for proof. But the world is not the cause, it is the effect. It is the shadow of your dominant thoughts. To wait for it to change is to delay your own power. The truth is, you must believe first and then you will see, not the other way around. Think like this. Nothing is denied to me. The moment I imagine it, it is mine. I do not chase. I do not strive. I accept. And in that acceptance, I enter the state. I rest in the knowing, I dwell in the feeling, and I persist no matter what. Because the only thing that matters is the inner scene. The world will follow, it must follow, it always follows. You may say, but how can I believe in what I do not see? And I tell you, you already do. You believe in fear, you believe in limitation, you believe in lack, and so you see it. Belief is not reserved for the noble or the spiritual. You are believing constantly. The only shift required is to change the object of your belief. Instead of kneeling before doubt, stand in the certainty of your desire fulfilled. Let the world rage, let circumstances speak lies. You are not moved. You know the truth. And what is the truth? That imagination creates reality. That assumption, when persisted in, becomes fact. That what you feel to be true inwardly is mirrored outwardly without fail. So feel wisely, think wisely. Imagine not what you fear, but what you love. Dwell not in the possible, but in the actual. Let your thoughts become the soil in which your dreams take root. This is not mere philosophy. It is the way of power. It is the path of dominion. It is the blueprint of creation. Every great soul who has ever changed the world, whether they knew it or not, walked this path. They assumed what others could not see. They believed in what had no evidence. And because they persisted, the world eventually called them visionaries. But they were simply using a law that never failed. So think like this. If I can imagine it, I can have it. If I can feel it, I can live it. If I can assume it, I can experience it. My power lies not in my hands, but in my mind. My future is not decided by fate, but by feeling. I am not the product of my past. I am the creator of my now. The world will bend for you when you bend your mind to the truth. Not the truth of appearances, but the truth of imagination. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And you have access to that eternal realm through your thoughts, your feelings, your assumptions. That is the workshop of God. That is the place where all things are made. So dare to enter. Close your eyes. Feel the life you wish to live. See the home, the relationship, the success, but do not see it as a spectator. See it as the one living it. Hear the congratulations, smell the air, touch the walls, feel the joy, and then carry that feeling with you. Let it become the core of your identity. Do not wait for something to change. Become the change. And the world, the mirror that it is, will reflect it back to you. You see, you do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. And you are what you believe yourself to be. So stop trying to manipulate the outer. Transform the inner. And in doing so, you alter the course of your life without effort. Because the world must bend for the one who has mastered the art of assumption. This is not magic. It is not luck. It is law. And it is precise, predictable, and impartial. What you accept as true in your imagination, you will experience in your world. So go within, stay within, persist within. Let the dream feel more real than the doubt. Let the wish fulfilled become your dwelling place, and let no one, not even yourself, talk you out of it. For the world does not move by might, nor by power, but by consciousness. The higher your assumption, the higher your experience. The deeper your conviction, the quicker the manifestation. You need not concern yourself with how or when. That is not your domain. Your domain is the state. And when you live from the state of the wish fulfilled, the bridge of incidents unfolds with effortless perfection. Let your mind become the throne of creation. Sit upon it daily. Visualize the life you love, not as a far-off dream, but as your reality now. And as you persist, reality conforms. It always does. You are the operant power. You are the creative force. Nothing can stop the one who thinks like this. And when the mind is anchored in conviction, not tossed about by outer facts, but held firm in the truth of inner vision, then life becomes a stream that bends at your will. The waters flow where you direct them, not by force, not by pushing against resistance, but by imagining what is and letting the world catch up. That's how the universe yields. It doesn't argue, it obeys. But it only obeys the one who assumes their authority in silence, in certainty. You may believe that the world is hard and slow, that change takes time, that struggle is necessary. But that belief is the very thing delaying your transformation. The world is not hard, it is responsive. It moves at the speed of your conviction. The moment you truly accept a new reality within, time collapses and the old dissolves. The change may appear gradual, but it began instantly. You are not waiting for the world to change, you are witnessing the outpicturing of your inner change. So you must ask, what am I entertaining in my quiet moments? What thoughts do I secretly cherish? What emotions do I indulge when no one is watching? Because these are the seeds, and the outer world is merely the harvest. You cannot think thoughts of lack and experience abundance. You cannot dwell in unworthiness and be surrounded by love. The outer world has no choice. It must reflect the pattern held within. Change that pattern, and you change the picture. But how do you hold the pattern when the world contradicts it? When the bills are due, when the phone is silent, when the mirror still shows a body you wish to change? You hold the pattern by entering the sacred space of imagination and feeling the truth of your desire as if it were now. You close your eyes, turn your back on appearances, and step into the unseen world where all things are made. You feel it real. You hear it, see it, touch it in the silence. And then you trust it. You trust it with your life. This is the path of the few. For the masses are enslaved to their senses. They will tell you to be realistic, to look at the facts, to lower your expectations. But you are not here to conform to the facts. You are here to transform them. The facts are nothing but frozen thoughts. They are not fixed. They are not permanent. They are clay in the hands of the potter. And you, dear soul, are the potter. But you must persist. You must remain loyal to your assumption even when nothing seems to happen, especially then, because that is the moment of testing. That is when the old self tries to reclaim you. That is when fear whispers its lies. But if you stand firm, if you refuse to give up your assumption, then you will break through. And when you do, the change is not just external. You are reborn. The new state becomes your home. And what once seemed impossible becomes natural. And then a strange thing happens. The world begins to bend in ways you could never have planned. People show up, opportunities arrive, doors open, and all of it flows not from struggle, but from inner alignment. You begin to understand that it was never about effort, it was always about vibration. When you changed your state, you changed your experience. What once seemed magical is now normal because you have become the core. You begin to see through the illusion. You realize that the world was never against you. It was only echoing you. And when you change the signal, the echo changes. You stop reacting and start commanding, not with force, but with inner stillness. You walk in peace, knowing that your world is simply responding to the tone you have set. The dance of reality becomes effortless because you are no longer out of step with yourself. And yet this requires courage. The courage to feel joy when there's no evidence. The courage to smile when the world gives you every reason to frown. The courage to bless your enemies, to forgive your past, to love your present. Because love, joy, peace, these are not reactions, they are states. And when you enter those states, reality bends to match them. Not instantly, perhaps, but inevitably. To think like this is to live as the creator, not the creature. To rise each morning not asking what will happen to me today, but declaring this is who I am. This is what is mine. This is my world. You do not ask for permission. You do not seek approval. You simply assume your role and let the drama unfold around you. The script is yours. The characters are drawn to your energy. The stage bends to your vision. But this cannot be done half-heartedly. You cannot dip in and out of your assumption and expect results. You must dwell in it, live in it, sleep in it, let it possess you. Let it become more real than what your eyes see. Because reality is not built with eyes. It is built with belief. And belief is a choice. Every moment you are choosing what to accept as true. Choose wisely. Feelings are the fuel. Thought initiates, but feeling empowers. You may imagine a scene, but unless you feel its reality, you will not move the needle. So when you imagine, don't just see, feel. Feel the smile on your face. Feel the warmth in your chest. Feel the weight lifted. And know that this feeling is the sign, it is the signal that your assumption has taken root. Protect that feeling. Return to it often. Let it guide your responses to the world. And when the world shows you the opposite, remember the old must fall away before the new can be born. Do not panic, do not doubt, simply return to the feeling, anchor yourself in the state. Repeat your inner knowing, it is done, it is mine, it is now. These words are not affirmations to convince the universe. They are declarations of what already is. Speak them with authority. Let your word become law. And what of time? Time is not your master. It is your servant. It does not delay you. It organizes the journey. It is not the enemy of manifestation. It is the canvas on which your inner world is painted. So be patient, not because you are waiting, but because you are certain. You know the outcome, you feel it. And because of that, you can rest. To the untrained mind, this way of thinking seems foolish, but to those who understand the laws, it is the only way to live. When you think like this, you no longer fear loss. You no longer chase. You no longer need. Because in your imagination, you are already fulfilled. And the world bows before that kind of soul. It cannot resist. It must conform. You walk differently. You speak differently, not with arrogance, but with assurance, not with ego, but with embodiment. You do not try to impress because you are impressed within. You do not try to convince because you are already convinced. And the world, sensing your vibration, aligns accordingly. There is no limit to this. No condition you cannot rise above, no circumstance too great, no past too broken, because imagination knows no bounds. And when you harness it, when you discipline it, when you feed it only what you love, then your life becomes a masterpiece, not a copy, not a reaction, a creation, authored by you. So go within. Daily, moment by moment. Withdraw your attention from appearances and place it on your desired state. Don't just visit it, live there. Be loyal to it. Let it become so familiar, so natural, that the old reality begins to feel like a dream. And as you do, the world shifts. People change. Conditions transform. And you realize it was never outside of you, it was always within. The kingdom is within, the power is within, the law is within. And when you think from this place, when you dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not as a theory, but as your way of being, then life responds with precision. You no longer need signs, for you become the sign. You no longer ask for miracles, because your very existence becomes miraculous. And in that miraculous state of being, everything that once seemed far begins to draw near, not because it was withheld, but because you were not aligned. The delay was never in the universe. The delay was in belief, in hesitation, in the refusal to fully embody what you desired. The moment you stepped into the knowing, the moment you dared to feel it real, the current shifted and the flow began to move in your favor. The current shifted and the flow began to move in your favor. You begin to understand that resistance is not an external force. It is the inner debate, the doubt, the back and forth between what is and what could be. But the moment you silence that voice, the moment you drop the argument and simply accept, you become the channel through which the new is born. And it feels natural. It feels inevitable. That which once seemed like a miracle becomes your new normal. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to strain or map the path. Your job is singular, to assume and to persist, to live from the end and to trust the bridge that forms beneath your feet as you walk in faith. That bridge may come disguised as coincidence, as unexpected opportunity, as a chance meeting. But the moment you look back, you'll see how every step was guided, how every event led you to the fulfillment of what you already dared to imagine. This is the art of effortless creation, not passive but deeply active on the inside. A constant choosing, a disciplined imagination, a sacred reverence for the unseen, and a fierce loyalty to your vision. Not once, not occasionally, but moment by moment, until the entire structure of your inner world is built on the foundation of belief, of conviction, of knowing. The outer world becomes irrelevant in the best way. You stop measuring your progress by appearances because you understand they are echoes, not causes. You stop needing validation because you are validated by your inner state. You stop asking when, because the answer is always now. You are in the state now, you are thinking from the place now, and that is enough. You become immune to distraction, immune to delay, because you see clearly now that all life is a reflection of consciousness, that everything, from the grand to the small, is responding to the vibration you carry. So you tend to that vibration, you become a gardener of thought. You water only what you wish to grow. You prune what does not serve. You protect the soil of your mind from weeds of fear, of comparison, of doubt. You stop asking others for direction because you know the way is within. You stop chasing answers because you realize you are the source. And as you settle into that awareness, peace floods you. Not the peace of stillness, but the peace of power. The deep calm that comes from knowing the truth and trusting it more than the illusion. And then life begins to move differently. You speak and things happen. You desire and the way appears. You think and the world responds. Not because you're special, but because you are finally aligned with the truth that has always been. Your imagination is God in action. And when you let that power move through you without resistance, the world cannot help but bend. You begin to feel the divine within you, not as a concept, but as a force, a living, breathing presence that creates through your thoughts, your assumptions, your choices. You are not alone. You are not powerless. You are not separate from the source. You are the expression of it. And the more you claim that, the more evidence flows to confirm it. It becomes a game, a dance, a rhythm. You drop a desire into the quiet waters of your mind and you watch the ripples move outward. You know it will return to you multiplied, shaped by the state in which you delivered it. So you learn to think from joy, from peace, from love, not because it's nice, but because it's powerful, because it shapes what returns, because it determines the form. And then your desires shift. Not because you want less, but because you want deeper. You begin to desire not just outcomes, but states, not just things, but harmony, not just signs, but connection. You want to feel the truth in every breath, in every moment. And from that place, the things still come, but now they come without need. They come because you are whole, not because you lack. And the world, sensing your wholeness, reflects it. Relationships improve, finances multiply, health flourishes, not because you forced them to, but because you stopped forcing altogether. You simply assumed the state, and that state, being alive and radiant, expressed itself through every channel available. This is the mystery. The world is not changed by force, but by assumption. It does not yield to effort, but to embodiment. To think like this is to live beyond cause and effect. It is to live by a higher law, the law of consciousness, where you are no longer reacting to what is, but deliberately creating what will be. You will be misunderstood. Some will call it delusion, others will call it arrogance. But those who know, those who've touched the unseen and watched it crystallize, will understand. You do not need the approval of the blind when your eyes have seen the truth. You do not need the permission of the limited when your soul is infinite. You walk alone, not in loneliness, but in sovereignty. You carry your world with you, and wherever you go, your state goes. That is why you can never escape yourself. No matter where you move, no matter what you change on the outside, if your inner state remains the same patterns will follow. That is why you must work within. That is why your thoughts must become sacred ground. That is why your imagination must be treated as holy. For what you accept within, the world must express without. And when you accept this, not as a theory, but as a law, you become unshakable. Not because nothing goes wrong, but because you know how to respond. You know how to return to the state. You know how to reshape the image. You know how to hold the pattern until the world conforms. Even in the midst of chaos, you hold your peace. Even when appearances scream the opposite, you close your eyes and return to the end. And that return is the reset. That return is the shift. That return is the moment the bridge begins to form. It may come quietly, it may come through the back door, but it always comes. And so you stop chasing results, you stop checking the mirror, you stop asking where is it, because you know it is done, it is yours. You've claimed it in silence. You've clothed yourself in it. You've lived from it in thought and feeling. And now it must express. The law cannot be broken. There is no special time, no perfect moment. Now is the only moment. Now is always the moment of creation. If you can think it now, if you can feel it now, then you can receive it now, not because the outer has changed, but because you have. And you are the source, the cause, the root. When you truly know this, your entire life becomes a prayer, not a begging, but a declaration, not a request, but a command. Your inner dialogue becomes sacred. Your inner images become prophecy. And you treat every thought as a seed that must be planted with intention, nurtured with feeling, and harvested with gratitude. And gratitude becomes your natural state, not as a reaction to what has happened, but as a cause for what is to come. You are grateful because you have. You are thankful because you know. And the world, hearing your gratitude, responds in kind. It brings more. It opens the way. It sings back the melody you played within. This is the power of thinking rightly, not as the world thinks, not as your senses suggest, but as the law being demands. Think from the end, assume the best, persist in the face of contradiction, and let the unseen become seen. You no longer entertain the question of if, you rest in the knowing of when, and even that becomes irrelevant, because in your world it already is. Time, distance, effort, these lose their grip on you, because you have risen into a dimension of being where only one thing matters, the state you occupy. All else bends. All else yields. All else yields, all else reorganizes itself to match the dominant assumption of your inner world. And now you begin to live with clarity because your vision is no longer clouded by doubt. You do not pray for change, you assume the change. You do not beg for freedom, you embody freedom. You do not seek love, you become love. And the world, in awe of your certainty, moves mountains on your behalf. To think like this, is not to escape reality. It is to create it. And what greater power is there than to create from the stillness of your own mind? You understand now that it was never about reacting, it was about selecting. Life is not happening to you, it is responding through you. Every outcome, every experience, every detail of your life, good or bad, is the direct result of your inner state. There is no external cause, only the one within. So you go within again and again, not as a task, but as a sacred return. You close your eyes, not to shut the world out, but to reshape it. You begin to see differently, you begin to feel differently. And that feeling, that inner shift, becomes the pivot point for everything. It's not in the effort, it's not in the striving. It's in the feeling. The feeling is the secret, the feeling is the signal. The feeling is the invitation to life itself to come and reflect your new identity. You understand now that this power is not reserved for the few. It is your birthright. It has always been yours. And now that you have reclaimed it, you walk with reverence. You do not squander your thoughts. You do not casually speak your fears. You do not daydream disaster. You use the mind as it was meant to be used, as the projector, not the recorder, as the tool of transformation, not the tape of memory. You live from vision, not reaction. And when the old thoughts come, as they will, those whispers of limitation, those echoes of the past, you do not resist them, you replace them. You return to your inner scene, your chosen state. You reaffirm your new truth, and you dwell there until the feeling returns, until the vision is clear, until the body responds with peace. That is how you claim dominion. You do not wait for permission. You do not consult the world. You do not explain yourself. You simply assume the role. The millionaire, the beloved, the healthy, the free. You take on the identity, not with arrogance, but with absolute inner knowing. Because you have felt it, you have heard it, you have seen it within, and because of that, you know it is done. And this knowing, this calm, unshakable inner confidence, is what draws all things unto you. You no longer ask, you radiate. You no longer seek, you attract. You no longer try, you become. And life rearranges itself not to reward your effort, but to mirror your essence. That is how the world bends, not to the strongest, not to the fastest, not to the loudest, but to the most aligned, to the one who dares to live from the invisible and trust it more than the visible. That is the one who commands with silence, who moves with certainty, who creates with ease. You begin to understand that the state is everything. You guard it with vigilance. You nurture it like a flame. And when you fall, because you will, you don't panic. You simply return again and again. You revise, you re-enter, you reimagine, and slowly the gaps close. The new state becomes dominant, and the old falls away like a dream. There is no limit to how far you can go with this, no limit to what you can become. The only ceiling is the one you refuse to lift in your mind. And now that you know the law, now that you've tasted its power, there is no turning back. You cannot unknow the truth. You can only choose to apply it or ignore it. But if you apply it, if you live it, the rewards are beyond comprehension. You will see miracles. You will walk in abundance. You will find peace where there was once turmoil. You will meet people who reflect your inner transformation. And you will know, without question, that this is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is law in motion. It is consciousness externalized. So now, you rise each day with intention. You open your eyes, not to greet the world, but to create it. You check in with yourself. What state am I in? Who am I being? What am I assuming? And if the answer does not match your desire, you change it. Not later, now, before you step out, before you speak, before you react. You take full ownership. No more blame, no more waiting, no more hoping. You are the operant power. And in that realization, life becomes an unfolding masterpiece. You look around and see the fruits of your inner world manifesting, the conversations that align, the signs that affirm, the paths that open, and you smile not because you're surprised, but because you knew it was coming. You become the still point in a moving world, the eye of the storm, the one who holds the state, no matter what. And from that place, all things flow. You think thoughts of plenty, and lack disappears. You imagine love, and it finds you. You embody freedom, and doors fly open. You no longer chase, because what you are seeking is now seeking you. To think like this is to become a living portal, a walking vortex of creation. You do not need to explain it. You do not need to convince anyone. Your life becomes the evidence. Your peace becomes the proof. And those who are ready will be drawn to your frequency, not because you tried, but because you became. This is the highest use of thought. Not to repeat what is, but to declare what is to be. Not to document the past, but to sculpt the future. Not to mirror the world, but to master it. And you will be tested. Life will press. Circumstances will poke. The old patterns will attempt a return. But you will not waver. You will not retreat. You will remember. And in remembering, you will reclaim your state. And in reclaiming your state, you will reclaim your power. No matter how far the echo of the old may linger, it is still only that, an echo, a shadow of a former self. It has no power unless you give it attention. So starve it, withdraw your belief, and feed the new. Pour all your energy into the vision that aligns with your highest joy, and let that vision become your home. Because this is what you came for, not to suffer, not to endure, but to remember, to awaken, to return to your true power as the creator of your experience, the painter of your reality, the chooser of your state. And as you choose, the world...
What if I told you that the very moment you change how you see yourself, your entire financial reality must shift? What if the wealth you've been seeking has been waiting for you to simply claim it? Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share will challenge everything you've been taught about money, success, and your own power. The secret to attracting wealth has nothing to do with your circumstances, your education, or even your current bank balance. It begins with a fundamental shift, not in what you do, but in what you assume to be true about yourself right now. Wealth is not something you pursue. It is something you recognize as already present within your consciousness. The moment you stop looking outside yourself for permission to be wealthy, the moment you stop waiting for conditions to change, you begin to activate forces that respond with absolute precision to your inner assumptions. Here's what most people get wrong. They believe their imagination is just wishful thinking. But imagination is the creative workshop of the universe, expressing itself through you. Whatever you consistently imagine yourself to be, whatever you feel yourself to truly possess, that becomes your lived reality. Tonight, before you sleep, I want you to do something revolutionary. Close your eyes and enter completely into the feeling of already having financial freedom. Don't imagine how it happened. That's not your concern. Simply feel what it would be like to have more than enough. Feel the relief, the joy, the absolute certainty that all your needs are met. The world around you has no choice but to conform to this inner state, because consciousness is the only reality. Everything you see in the physical world is simply the outpicturing of someone's consciousness. But here's where it gets interesting. Your word carries creative power. Every conversation you have with yourself, every assumption you make about money, every feeling you entertain about your worthiness, these are not just thoughts. They are commands issued to the creative principle of life. If you find yourself saying, "I never have enough," or "money is hard to come by," you are literally commanding your subconscious to create experiences that match those words. But the moment you begin to speak from abundance, to think from wealth, to feel from having rather than wanting, everything changes. The technique is simple but profound. Create one short scene that implies your financial desire is already fulfilled. Perhaps you're opening a letter confirming your financial freedom, or checking your bank account and seeing the numbers you desire. But here's the crucial part. You must feel it as real. Feel the texture of that moment, the weight lifting from your shoulders, the deep satisfaction of knowing you are provided for. This feeling must become your dwelling place. Return to it often throughout your day. When doubt creeps in, and it will, don't fight it. Simply redirect your attention back to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You see, most people have this backwards. They wait for wealth to feel wealthy. But the law works in reverse. You must feel wealthy for wealth to appear. You must assume abundance for abundance to manifest. Your imagination is not idle fantasy. It is the very womb of reality. Everything in your world first existed as an image in consciousness. The device you're using right now, the building you're in, the very clothes on your back, all of it was imagined before it was made real. You are constantly using this creative power, whether you realize it or not. Every time you picture the worst, dwell on problems, or rehearse failure in your mind, you are imagining just as creatively as when you envision success. The difference is in the direction of your attention. Stop worshiping facts. The facts of your current financial situation are nothing more than frozen shadows of previous assumptions. They do not define what's possible for you. The moment you realize this, you become free to choose a new story. Close your eyes right now and ask yourself, what would I see if my desire were already fulfilled? How would I feel? What would I be doing? Step into that scene completely. Touch the details. Hear the sounds. Smell the air. Make it vivid and alive. The more real it becomes in your imagination, the more natural it will become in your physical experience. You don't need to know how it will happen. That's not your job. Your only task is to dwell in the end, to live from the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. Your internal dialogue shapes everything. The stories you tell yourself about who you are, what you deserve, and what's possible. These are not empty thoughts. They are creative forces molding your experience. Every word you speak inwardly, especially when charged with emotion, plants a seed in your subconscious mind. Listen to yourself throughout the day. Are your thoughts filled with complaint and lack, or saturated with gratitude and expectancy? You cannot afford careless speech, not even as a joke. Your subconscious mind takes you at your word and begins immediately to create circumstances that match your dominant inner conversation. Instead of "I'll never get out of this," train yourself to say "everything is working in my favor." Instead of "I can't afford it," affirm "I am always provided for." These aren't just positive affirmations. They are declarations of truth spoken from the consciousness of abundance. Remember, feeling is the secret. Words without feeling are powerless, but words infused with conviction and emotion take deep root. When you speak inwardly, speak with the feeling that what you say is already true. Let your tone be one of calm assurance, the voice of someone who knows. The power to transform your financial reality is not hidden somewhere outside of you. It's not locked away in a course, a book, or a mentor. It exists within your consciousness right now. You are not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you to awaken to what you truly are. The same creative force that moves the stars and governs the tides lives in you as you. When you recognize that consciousness is the only reality, you stop chasing the world and start commanding it. You no longer seek power because you realize you are the power. You were not born to struggle financially. That was learned, accepted, without question. But beneath that conditioning is your true nature, creative, abundant, unlimited. The outer world may have taught you scarcity, but your inner world knows no lack. The source of your wealth is not a job, a client, or an economy. Those are merely channels. The real source is your state of consciousness. Hold abundance in mind, and you must experience abundance in form. This is not attraction. This is expression. You are radiating your inner state outward. Turn inward now. Still your mind. Withdraw your attention from the outer clamor and become aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your assumptions. They are not meaningless. They are the blueprint of your reality. Begin this moment to assume you are already the person who lives abundantly. Not someday, now. Feel the reality of being provided for. Feel the certainty that what you need is already prepared. Let go of the question how and enter the state of it is done. When you consistently dwell in this consciousness, outer changes become inevitable, not because you force them, but because you have aligned with a higher truth. You are using the gift of imagination not to escape life, but to shape it according to your highest vision. Do not look to others for permission. Do not wait for circumstances to become favorable. The moment you shift your inner state, the moment you say within yourself, I am, you set the creative law in motion. You already possess this power. It has always been yours. All that is required is your conscious decision to use it, to believe that what you seek already exists within you, to walk in the awareness that your world is not happening to you, but flowing from you. Wealth begins in consciousness, because consciousness is where everything begins, not in a bank account or business strategy. Those are effects, not causes. The root of lasting prosperity lies in the invisible realm of thought, feeling, and identity. You cannot harvest abundance until you have first planted abundance in your mind. Your consciousness is the soil, and what grows must reflect what has been sown. True wealth flows from inner awareness, how you see yourself, what you believe about your worthiness, what you assume to be true about your relationship with abundance itself. When your inner state reflects prosperity, the outer world must harmonize with it. Feel into the state of wealth now, not as something you hope to achieve someday, but as something you are claiming in this moment. This is not pretense. It is alignment with the truth that everything already exists in infinite potential, waiting for your recognition. The common error is looking outward and reacting to appearances. But what you see is the result of past states of consciousness. To break the cycle, you must act from the unseen, trust the invisible. You are not subject to appearances unless you accept them as final. Ask yourself, what do I truly believe about wealth, about money, about my worthiness to receive? These beliefs are living energies, shaping your experience. If limiting beliefs exist, you need not force them away. Simply observe without judgment, and choose a new assumption. Begin affirming, wealth flows to me with ease. I am worthy of abundance. Life supports me fully. Say it until it feels natural, until it becomes part of who you know yourself to be. You are not merely repeating words. You are stepping into a new reality, shifting your inner atmosphere. That shift, though invisible at first, begins to reconfigure your world. Opportunities appear. Resources align. People respond to your changed energy. The world reflects not what you want, but what you have become within. Wealth is not about accumulation. It is about expression. It is the free flow of life through you. And that flow begins when you no longer see yourself as separate from the source. The source is not outside you. It is you, expressing as your own awakened consciousness. Do not wait for tomorrow. Begin now to live from abundance. Not when conditions improve, but now, because now is all there is. And now is where your creative power lives. You are not here to chase wealth. You are here to awaken to it. The riches you seek arise from the depths of your own consciousness. As you feel it real, imagine vividly, speak with authority, and dwell in the awareness of already having. Life must respond. The law is beautifully simple. As within, so without. Stop looking to the world for confirmation and become the source of it. Live from the end, think from abundance, and carry the quiet confidence of one who knows it is already done. Everything you need to attract wealth exists within your consciousness right now, waiting not to be earned, but to be claimed. This is your invitation to claim it. But let me share with you something profound. There are those who will tell you that wanting wealth is somehow unspiritual, that desiring abundance makes you greedy or selfish. This is the greatest lie ever perpetuated upon humanity. You are here to express the fullness of life, and abundance in all its forms is your divine birthright. The universe is abundant by nature. Look around you, countless stars, infinite space, endless creativity flowing through every living thing. Scarcity is not a natural law. It is a learned limitation. You were born into an abundant universe, and that same abundance seeks to express itself through you in every area of your life. When you truly understand this, you realize that by claiming your wealth, you are not taking from others. You are adding to the total sum of abundance in the world. Your prosperity creates opportunities for others. Your success inspires possibilities. Your wealth becomes a channel through which more good can flow into the world. Now, let me tell you something that may surprise you. The reason most people struggle with money is not because they don't work hard enough or lack opportunity. It's because they have unconsciously accepted a story about themselves that keeps them locked in limitation. They have identified with being someone who never has enough or has to struggle for everything. Identity is everything. You cannot rise above the person you believe yourself to be. If deep down you believe you are someone who is destined to struggle financially, then no amount of effort, no strategy, no opportunity will permanently change your circumstances. You might experience temporary improvement, but you will inevitably return to the level that matches your self-concept. This is why the work must begin within. You must first become wealthy in consciousness before you can become wealthy in form. You must know yourself as someone who naturally attracts abundance, who effortlessly receives, who is worthy of the very best life has to offer. Let me give you a technique that will accelerate this transformation. I call it living in the end. Instead of working toward your goal, you must learn to work from it. Instead of trying to become wealthy, you must assume you already are, and think, feel, and act from that assumption. Every morning when you wake up, before you check your phone, before you think about your problems, before you engage with the world, spend 10 minutes in the consciousness of wealth. Feel what it would be like to wake up, knowing that money is never a concern for you. Feel the peace, the freedom, the joy of someone who is completely financially secure. Throughout your day, make decisions from this consciousness. When you're choosing what to eat, what to wear, how to spend your time, choose as someone who knows they are abundant. This doesn't mean being reckless with money. It means moving through the world with the confidence and peace of someone who knows they are provided for. And here's what will happen. And this might seem impossible to you now, but I promise you it is the natural result of this practice. As you consistently live from this assumption, your external world will begin to rearrange itself to match your internal state. Opportunities you couldn't have predicted will appear. People will be drawn to help you. Resources will flow to you in the most unexpected ways. This is not magic. This is law, the law of consciousness. What you are conscious of being, you must become in your experience. It has never failed, and it cannot fail, because consciousness is the substance from which all things are made. But here's where most people stumble. They try this technique for a few days or a few weeks, and when they don't see immediate external changes, they give up. They return to their old ways of thinking, their old conversations with themselves, their old emotional patterns, and then they wonder why nothing changed. The truth is, changes in consciousness often precede changes in circumstances by what seems like a long time, but is actually the perfect time. There is a gestation period for every seed of desire you plant in consciousness. Just as a farmer doesn't dig up his seeds every day to see if they're growing, you must not constantly check the external world to see if your assumption is working. Your only job is to remain faithful to the assumption. to return again and again to the feeling of wealth, the consciousness of abundance, the knowing that you are provided for. The external world is not your concern. That is the domain of the creative principle within you, which knows exactly how to bring about the fulfillment of your assumption. Now let me tell you about the power of gratitude in this process. Gratitude is not something you do after you receive what you want. Gratitude is what opens the door for you to receive it. When you feel genuinely grateful for the wealth that is yours in consciousness, you are acknowledging its reality. You are saying yes to it with your entire being. Every night before you sleep, make it a practice to feel grateful for your abundance. Not grateful that it's coming, grateful that it's here. Feel thankful for the financial freedom you possess, for the security you enjoy, for the generosity you can express. This gratitude, when it comes from a deep knowing of already having, is one of the most powerful attracting forces in the universe. But I want to address something that creates confusion for many people. They ask, if I'm supposed to feel wealthy now, does that mean I should spend money I don't have? Should I act irresponsibly with my finances? The answer is no. Living from the consciousness of wealth means making wise decisions from a place of inner security, not making foolish decisions from a place of pretense. When you truly feel wealthy within, you naturally make choices that honor and protect your resources. You don't spend from fear or lack, but neither do you spend from a need to prove something. You move with the wisdom and discernment of someone who understands the value of what they have and knows more is always available. The consciousness of wealth includes the consciousness of wisdom. It includes knowing when to spend, when to save, when to invest, when to give. These decisions flow naturally from the inner knowing of abundance, not from anxiety about scarcity. Let me share with you one of the most important principles you'll ever learn about attracting wealth. You must become comfortable receiving. So many people are comfortable giving, comfortable working, comfortable struggling, but deeply uncomfortable receiving. They feel guilty when good things come to them, as if they don't deserve it or haven't earned it. This discomfort with receiving creates a block in the flow of abundance. It's like trying to fill a cup while simultaneously poking holes in the bottom. No matter how much flows in, it flows right back out because you don't believe you should have it. Practice receiving in small ways. When someone offers to pay for your coffee, let them. When someone gives you a compliment, simply say thank you instead of deflecting it. When unexpected money comes to you, even if it's just finding $1 on the street, receive it with joy and gratitude. As you become more comfortable receiving small things, you expand your capacity to receive larger things. The universe is always seeking to give to you, but it can only give what you are willing and able to receive. Here's another crucial point that will transform your relationship with money. Stop making money more important than it is, and stop making it less important than it is. Money is simply a symbol, a tool, a means of exchange. It has no power except what you give it. It is neither good nor evil, it simply is. When you make money your God, when you think it will solve all your problems and make you happy, you give it a power it doesn't possess. When you demonize money, when you think it's the root of all evil, or that spiritual people shouldn't want it, you push away something that could be a beautiful tool for good in your life. The healthy relationship with money is to see it as a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. When you are conscious of your true worth, when you know that your value comes from who you are, rather than what you have, then money becomes a delightful addition to your life, rather than a desperate necessity. From this consciousness, money flows more easily, because you're not grasping for it out of fear. You're not repelling it out of guilt. You're simply allowing it to flow as naturally as breath, taking what you need and sharing what you can. Now let me address the question that's probably arising in your mind. How long does this take? The answer depends entirely on how completely you can accept the new story about yourself and how consistently you can live from it. Some people experience dramatic shifts within days or weeks of truly embracing their identity as abundant beings. Others take months or even years to fully transform their consciousness and see corresponding changes in their external world. The timing is not what matters. The certainty of the outcome is what matters. What I can promise you is this: if you persist in the consciousness of wealth, if you refuse to return to the old story of lack and limitation, if you make the feeling of abundance your dwelling place, then the external change is not just possible, it is inevitable. The challenge is that your current circumstances will try to pull you back into the old story. Your bank account, your bills, your current income, they will all seem to argue against your new assumption. This is where faith comes in. Not blind faith, but faith rooted in understanding. You must understand that what you see with your physical eyes is the result of past consciousness. It is old news. It is the fruit of seeds you planted in consciousness weeks, months, or years ago. It has nothing to do with what you're planting now, and everything to do with what you planted then. When you truly grasp this, you can look at your current financial situation with complete peace, knowing that it's simply the outpicturing of your former state of consciousness. You don't need to fight it or feel bad about it. You simply need to remain faithful to your new assumption and allow time for the new harvest to appear. This is why I teach people to live in the end. Don't live in the struggle toward your goal. Live as if the goal is already achieved. Don't think about becoming wealthy. Think as someone who is wealthy. Don't hope for abundance. Assume abundance. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every feeling you entertain is either reinforcing your new story or returning you to your old one. There is no neutral ground. You are always creating, always choosing, always assuming something about yourself and your life. Make sure you are conscious of what you're choosing. Make sure your thoughts, words, and feelings align with the person you are becoming, rather than the person you used to be. Let me share with you a powerful evening practice that will accelerate your transformation. Each night before you fall asleep, review your day, not to judge or criticize, but to notice. When did you think from wealth today? When did you think from lack? When did you feel abundant? When did you feel limited? Don't judge what you notice. Simply observe with the loving awareness of someone who is committed to growth. Then, gently revise any moments when you fell back into the old story. In your imagination, replay those moments from your new identity. See yourself responding to challenges from abundance rather than fear, making decisions from wisdom rather than worry. This practice of revision is incredibly powerful because it literally rewrites your emotional memory of the day. It helps establish your new identity more firmly and prevents the old patterns from taking root. As you fall asleep, do so in the consciousness of wealth. Feel grateful for the abundance that is yours. Feel peaceful about your financial future. Feel excited about the opportunities that are coming. Let these feelings carry you into sleep, and let them be the first feelings you experience when you wake. Sleep is a particularly powerful time for impression because your conscious mind is quieted and your subconscious is most receptive. The feelings and assumptions you carry into sleep are impressed deeply into your subconscious, and your subconscious works throughout the night to create circumstances that match those impressions. Many people have experienced sudden windfalls, unexpected opportunities, or breakthrough ideas that came to them in dreams or upon waking. This is not coincidence. This is the natural result of falling asleep in the consciousness of their fulfilled desire. Now, as you begin to apply these principles, you may notice resistance from family members, friends, or colleagues. They may make comments about your changing attitude toward money. They may try to pull you back into conversations about lack and limitation. They may even criticize your new way of thinking as unrealistic or impractical. This resistance is natural and actually a sign that you're changing. The people around you have become accustomed to you being a certain way, and your transformation challenges their own beliefs about what's possible. Don't take their resistance personally, and don't let it deter you from your path. You don't need to convince anyone else of these truths. You don't need to defend your new way of thinking or prove that it works. Your only responsibility is to live from your new assumption and let your results speak for themselves. In fact, I recommend that you keep your inner work private, at least in the beginning. Share your new consciousness through your being, rather than your words. Let people wonder what's different about you. Let them be inspired by your peace, your confidence, your joy. As your external world begins to change, as abundance starts flowing into your life in tangible ways, then you can share these principles with those who are genuinely interested. But don't try to convert the skeptical or convince the doubtful. Save your energy for your own transformation. Remember, you are not trying to manipulate the universe or trick life into giving you what you want. You are simply aligning with the truth of your being. You are remembering who you really are beneath all the conditioning and limitations you've accepted. Wealth is your natural state. Abundance is your birthright. Joy, peace, freedom, and prosperity are not rewards you earn through suffering. They are expressions of your true nature that emerge when you stop blocking them with false beliefs about yourself. The moment you truly accept this, the moment you stop arguing for your limitations and start assuming your possibilities, your whole world changes. Not just your financial world, your entire experience of life becomes richer, fuller, more beautiful. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You begin to feel excited about your future where others feel anxious. You begin to move through the world with a confidence and peace that draws good things to you like a magnet. This is not about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming who you've always been beneath the layers of doubt and fear. It's about remembering your true identity as a creative, powerful, abundant being who is here to express the fullness of life. So I leave you with this. Everything you need is already within you. Every tool, every technique, every principle I've shared is simply a way of helping you remember and activate what you already possess. You are not lacking anything. You are not broken or incomplete. You are perfect, whole, and complete right now. And your abundance is simply the natural expression of that perfection. Begin today. Begin now. Assume you are wealthy, and let that assumption guide every thought, every feeling, every action. Live as if it's already true, because in the realm of consciousness, where all things are created, it already is. Your wealth is not coming to you, it's coming through you. You are not attracting abundance, you are expressing it. You are not trying to become prosperous, you are recognizing the prosperity that has always been your true nature. This is your moment. This is your invitation. This is your time to step into the fullness of who you really are and claim the abundance that has always been yours. The only question is, will you accept it? Everything you need to attract wealth exists within your consciousness right now, waiting not to be earned, but to be claimed. This is your invitation to claim it.